The galactic trade station Epsilon 7 floated like a silver needle against the backdrop of distant stars. Inside its metallic corridors, hundreds of species moved about their business, each careful to stay within their designated zones. The station had strict rules about interspecies contact, especially after the Zorathian incident 3 cycles ago. Marcus Chen adjusted his maintenance uniform as he made his way through the human sector. He had been working on the station for 2 years now, one of the few humans trusted with access to multiple zones due to his technical skills. The pay was good, better than anything he could find on Earth, but the isolation wore on him. Most aliens kept their distance from humans, viewing them as unpredictable and dangerous. The reputation wasn't entirely undeserved. When humans first joined the Galactic Council 50 years ago, several unfortunate incidents had cemented their image as a warrior species. The fact that humans could survive injuries that would kill most other species, their ability to pack bond with literally anything, and their seemingly insane willingness to take risks had made them both feared and grudgingly respected. Marcus was different, though. He preferred fixing things to fighting, and his gentle nature had earned him special clearance to work in sensitive areas. Today, he was heading to the Thylorian sector to repair their atmospheric processors. The Thylorians were a peaceful species, resembling tall, slender beings with translucent blue skin and large, multifaceted eyes. They rarely interacted with other species, preferring to keep to themselves. As he entered the Thylorian sector, the atmosphere changed immediately. The air became thicker, more humid, matching their homeworld's climate. The lighting shifted to a softer blue spectrum that their eyes preferred. Marcus pulled out his toolkit and headed for the processor unit, tucked away in a maintenance alcove. He had been working for about 20 minutes when he heard it, a soft whimper, almost like crying. Marcus paused, his hands still inside the processor panel. The sound came again, definitely crying, and it sounded young. His protective instincts kicked in immediately. Following the sound, he moved deeper into the maintenance area, away from the main corridors. The crying grew louder, mixed now with soft words in a language his translator couldn't quite parse. Around a corner, he found them. A Thylorian female was huddled in a small alcove, clutching what could only be a child to her chest. Both were in terrible condition. The female's translucent skin was marred with dark bruises, her flowing garments torn and stained. The child, smaller and even more delicate-looking, was unconscious, its breathing shallow and labored. "Please," Marcus said softly, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm here to help. What happened?" The female's large eyes focused on him, and for a moment, pure terror flashed across her features. She pulled the child closer, trying to shrink further into the alcove. Then recognition dawned. The human maintenance worker, the one who fixed things without asking questions. "Please," she whispered, her voice like wind chimes. "Please don't tell them we're here." Marcus slowly lowered himself to the floor, making himself less threatening. "I won't tell anyone, but you're hurt. Both of you need medical attention." "No!" The word came out sharp, desperate. "No medical. They'll find us. They'll take her." "Who will take her?" The female's eyes darted around nervously before settling back on Marcus. "My bondmate, former bondmate. He wants to sell her." Marcus felt his jaw clench. Child trafficking happened throughout the galaxy, despite the Council's efforts to stop it. Thylorian children were especially valuable on the black market due to their unique telepathic abilities that developed during adolescence. "How long have you been hiding here?" he asked gently. 3 days. Maybe 4. I've lost track." She looked down at the child. "Lyra won't wake up. She needs water, food, but I can't leave. He has watchers everywhere in our sector." Marcus made a decision. Reaching into his kit, he pulled out his emergency water bottle and a protein bar. Here, it's human food, but it won't hurt her. The water is pure. The female looked at the offerings with a mixture of hope and suspicion. Everyone knew humans were dangerous, unpredictable. But desperation won out. She took the water with trembling hands and carefully dripped some into the child's mouth. "What's your name?" Marcus asked. "Theria," she replied, still focused on her daughter. "This is Lyra." "I'm Marcus. Listen, Theria, you can't stay here. That atmospheric processor I'm working on, if it fails completely, this whole section will be evacuated." "You'll be found for sure." Theria's shoulders slumped in defeat. "There's nowhere else. Every sector requires permits. The moment I scan through a checkpoint, he'll know." Marcus studied them both. Theria was maybe 7 feet tall when standing, typical for her species, with delicate features that reminded him of a butterfly. Lyra looked to be the equivalent of a 5- or 6-year-old human child, though alien development didn't always match up. "The human sector doesn't scan for specific DNA signatures," he said slowly. "We fought against it when we joined the council, called it a violation of privacy." Theria's eyes widened. But humans don't. Your people don't accept others. Everyone knows this." Marcus almost laughed at the irony. "We have a reputation, yeah. But you know what else humans are known for? We're stupidly protective of kids. Any kids. It's hardwired into us." As if to prove his point, little Lyra stirred, whimpering softly. Without thinking, Marcus reached out and gently touched her forehead, checking for fever. The moment his skin made contact with hers, something strange happened. Images flashed through his mind. A luxurious apartment, angry voices, Theria grabbing Lyra and running, hiding in ventilation shafts, the constant fear and hunger. He jerked his hand back, gasping. She's telepathic already?" Theria nodded weakly. "It's rare, but it happens. It's why Korthax wants to sell her. Early telepaths fetch the highest prices." Marcus felt something cold and dangerous settle in his chest. The same feeling his ancestors might have felt when protecting their young from predators on ancient Earth. "Pack your things, whatever you have. You're coming with me." "But the rules!" "Screw the rules." He stood up, decision made. "Human sector law is different from the rest of the station. We retain the right to offer sanctuary according to our old Earth customs. It hasn't been used in decades, but it's still on the books." "Sanctuary?" Theria struggled to stand, lifting Lyra with effort. The child weighed almost nothing, but in her weakened state, even that was too much. Without asking permission, Marcus gently took Lyra from her arms. The child felt like holding a bird, all hollow bones and fragile skin. She curled into his chest instinctively, and another wave of images hit him, but softer this time, seeking comfort rather than sharing fear. "Yeah, sanctuary. Ancient human tradition. Someone asks for protection, we give it. Simple as that." Theria swayed on her feet, exhaustion and injury catching up with her. Marcus shifted Lyra to one arm and steadied Theria with the other. "But your people, they'll never accept—" "Let me worry about my people," Marcus said firmly. "Right now we need to move. Can you walk?" She nodded, though Marcus could see the effort it took. They made their way slowly through the maintenance corridors, Marcus using his access codes to bypass the main thoroughfares. He knew these back passages like the back of his hand, had spent 2 years memorizing every shortcut and hidden route. As they moved, he contacted his supervisor through his neural comm. "Hey, Jin, I'm going to need to cut my shift short. Emergency situation." "What kind of emergency?" Jin's voice crackled through the implant. "The kind where I invoke Section 15 of the Human Colonial Charter." There was a long pause. "Marcus, are you sure? That hasn't been used since we joined the council, I know. But I'm using it now. I'll fill out all the paperwork when I get to the sector." "This better be worth it, Chen. You're one of our best techs. It is. He cut the connection before Jin could ask more questions. They were approaching the checkpoint between the Thylorian and human sectors now. This would be the tricky part. The human guard at the checkpoint, a woman named Sarah, whom Marcus knew in passing, looked up as they approached. Her eyes widened at the sight of the injured Thylorians. "Marcus, what's going on?" "Section 15, he said simply. "They've asked for sanctuary." Sarah's hand moved instinctively to her sidearm. Not to draw it, but out of habit. "Are they being pursued?" "Not actively, but yeah. Domestic situation. The kid's in danger." That was all Sarah needed to hear. Her expression hardened in a way that would have terrified most aliens, but made Marcus feel relieved. Humans might have a reputation for being dangerous, but they were dangerous in defense of those who couldn't defend themselves. "Get them through," she said, overriding the scanner. "I'll log it as a medical emergency for now. Buy you some time to file the formal papers." "Thanks, Sarah." "Don't thank me. Just make sure they're okay." The human sector felt different immediately. The gravity was slightly higher, the air a bit cooler, the lighting more yellow than blue. Theria stumbled at the gravity change, and Marcus steadied her again. "It's about 1.2 times standard," he explained. "You'll adjust. My apartment's not far." They passed other humans in the corridors, and Marcus was struck by the reactions. No one stared at the aliens with hostility or fear. Instead, he saw concern, especially when they noticed Lyra's condition. One older woman even stopped to ask if they needed help. "We're good, Mrs. Patterson," Marcus assured her. "Just need to get them somewhere safe." "You let me know if you need anything," she said firmly, giving Theria a gentle smile. "I've got extra blankets and some soup that might sit well with different physiologies." Theria looked stunned. She wants to help?" "Humans are weird about kids," Marcus said as they continued walking. "Doesn't matter what species. We see a child in trouble, we react." His apartment was small but clean. A typical bachelor's quarters with one bedroom, a living area, and a tiny kitchen. Marcus gently placed Lyra on his bed, then helped Theria to the couch. "Okay," he said, moving to his medical kit. "Let me look at those injuries, and don't argue. I've got basic xenomedical training." As he began treating the cuts and bruises on Theria's arms, she watched him with those large, multifaceted eyes. "Why are you doing this? You don't know us. We're not your species. You gain nothing from this." Marcus paused in his work. How did he explain human pack bonding to someone who'd never experienced it? How did he explain the drive that made humans adopt pets from every planet they visited, that made them form friendships with AI, that made them see a crying child and react with protective fury regardless of species? "There's an old Earth story," he said finally. "A man finds someone hurt on the road. The injured person is from a group that the man's people traditionally hate. But the man helps anyway, takes him to safety, pays for his care, makes sure he's okay. When asked why, the man just says he needed help." "That's it? He needed help?" "That's it." Marcus applied a bandage to a particularly nasty cut. "Humans are simple like that sometimes. We see someone who needs help, we help. Especially kids. It's how we survived on Earth. By taking care of each other, even when it didn't make logical sense." Theria was quiet for a moment. Then, so softly Marcus almost missed it, she said, "Korthax says humans are monsters, that you're violent and unpredictable." "We can be," Marcus admitted. "Humans are capable of terrible things. But we're also capable of this." He gestured around the small apartment that had become a sanctuary. "We're contradictions wrapped in flesh and stubbornness." A small sound from the bedroom caught their attention. Lyra was awake, her large eyes unfocused and frightened. Theria tried to stand but swayed dangerously. "Stay there," Marcus said gently. I'll bring her to you. He carefully lifted the small child, who immediately pressed against him, seeking comfort. The telepathic connection sparked again, and Marcus felt her fear, confusion, and hunger as clearly as if they were his own emotions. "Hey there, little one," he said softly. "You're safe now. Let's get you to your mom." He placed Lyra in Theria's arms and watched as mother and child reunited, Theria making soft singing sounds in her native language. The scene was achingly familiar despite the alien features, a mother comforting her scared child. "I need to make some calls," Marcus said. "File the paperwork, get you both official sanctuary status. It might take a few hours. Will you be okay?" Theria nodded, but he could see the fear still lurking in her eyes. What if Korthax challenges it? He has influence, connections. Then he'll learn why humans have the reputation we do, Marcus said simply. We don't give up those under our protection. Ever. He moved to his communication terminal and began making calls. First to the Human Sector Administration to file the formal sanctuary request. Then to Dr. Patel, the human doctor who specialized in xenobiology. Then to his friend Tommy in security, just to give him a heads up. Each person he spoke to had the same reaction, initial surprise, followed by determination to help. By the time he finished his calls, an entire network of humans was mobilizing to protect two aliens they'd never met. "I don't understand," Theria said, watching him work. "Your people barely know us. Why do they all want to help?" Marcus thought about it. It's hard to explain. Humans are tribal, but our tribe is flexible. We can expand it to include anyone we choose. And once you're in our tribe, we'll fight the whole galaxy to keep you safe. But we're not human. Doesn't matter. You're in trouble, Lyra's a kid, and you asked for help. That makes you ours now, in a way. As if to emphasize his point, there was a buzz at his door. Mrs. Patterson stood outside with a pot of soup and an armload of blankets, followed by Dr. Patel with his medical kit. "Heard you had some guests who might need attention," Dr. Patel said cheerfully. Mrs. Patterson insisted on coming along. "The child needs proper nutrition," Mrs. Patterson said firmly, bustling into the apartment like she owned it. "And these blankets are softer than standard issue, better for sensitive skin." Theria watched in amazement as the humans swarmed her and Lyra with gentle care. Dr. Patel examined them both with professional efficiency, adjusting his treatments for their physiology. Mrs. Patterson heated the soup and found containers that would work for Thylorian mouth structures. "Lyra's showing signs of malnutrition and dehydration," Dr. Patel reported. "Nothing that can't be fixed with proper care. The telepathic episodes are stress-induced. Once she feels safe, they should calm down." "What about the sanctuary request?" Theria asked nervously. "Being processed," Marcus assured her. "Tommy in security says there might be some pushback, but nothing we can't handle. Korthax can file a complaint, but he can't enter human space without permission." "He'll be angry," Theria whispered. "He doesn't like being denied." Mrs. Patterson snorted. "Let him be angry. He wants to traffic a child? He's lucky we're civilized enough to stick to legal channels." The next 3 days passed in a blur of legal procedures and adjustments. Marcus had taken emergency leave from work to help Theria and Lyra settle in, and his small apartment had transformed into something resembling a home. Lyra had claimed a corner of the living room as her play area, using borrowed toys from other human families on the station. Her telepathic episodes had indeed calmed down, though she still reached out to Marcus mentally when scared or excited. It was during one of these quiet moments, with Lyra coloring on the floor and Theria resting on the couch, that the door chime announced a visitor. Marcus checked the security feed and felt his expression harden. 3 Thylorians stood outside, including one male whose bearing screamed authority and barely controlled rage. "That's him," Theria whispered, her skin paling to an almost white translucence. That's Korthax. Stay here, Marcus said firmly. He activated his comm unit. Tommy, you monitoring this? Already on my way, Tommy's voice came back. 2 minutes out. Don't let them in. Marcus opened the door, but stood firmly in the doorway, blocking entrance. Korthax was tall even for a Thylorian, probably 8 feet, with skin that shifted between blue and purple. His multifaceted eyes fixed on Marcus with obvious disgust. You are harboring my bondmate and offspring, Korthax said without preamble. Return them immediately. They've requested and been granted sanctuary under Human Colonial Charter Section 15, Marcus replied evenly. They're under human protection now. Your primitive laws mean nothing. Theria is my legal bondmate under Thylorian law. The child is my property. Marcus felt something cold and dangerous rise in his chest. Property? She's a child, not property. She is whatever I say she is. Her telepathic abilities make her valuable, and I have every right to profit from what is mine. Not in human space, you don't. Korthax stepped forward aggressively, using his height advantage to loom over Marcus. It was a tactic that might work on other species, but humans had evolved facing down predators much scarier than an angry businessman. Do you know who I am, human? I have connections throughout the trade sectors. I could make your life very difficult. Are you threatening me? Marcus asked, his voice dropping to a dangerous calm that would have warned any human to back off. Korthax, however, didn't recognize the warning signs. I'm simply stating facts. Return what is mine, or face the consequences. The only fact here, Marcus said, is that Theria and Lyra are under human protection. That's not changing. We shall see. Korthax gestured to his companions. I've filed a formal complaint with the station authority. Thylorian law supersedes your quaint sanctuary customs. Actually, it doesn't. Everyone turned to see Tommy approaching, along with 2 other human security officers. Tommy was built like a tank, all muscle and barely contained energy, the kind of human that gave the species its warrior reputation. Station charter clearly states that each species maintains autonomy within their sectors, Tommy continued. Theria and Lyra entered human space and requested sanctuary. Our laws apply now. This is kidnapping, one of Korthax's companions sputtered. No, Tommy said patiently, as if explaining to a child. Kidnapping would be if we took them against their will. They came here voluntarily, seeking protection from someone who wanted to sell a child into slavery. Big difference. Korthax's skin darkened to an angry purple. You humans think you're so righteous, so noble. But everyone knows what you really are. Violent primitives who somehow stumbled into space travel. You have no right to interfere in Thylorian family matters. See, that's where you're wrong, Marcus said. The moment you decided to traffic a child, it stopped being just a family matter. You dare. Yeah, I dare. Marcus stepped forward, and despite the height difference, Korthax stepped back. I've been nice so far because I prefer talking to fighting. But if you threaten them again, if you come near them again without permission, you'll find out why humans have the reputation we do. Is that a threat? It's a promise. For a moment, the corridor was silent except for the hum of the station's life support systems. Then Korthax laughed, a sound like breaking glass. You think you've won? You think this is over? I have resources you can't imagine. Legal channels, economic pressure, political influence. I'll bury you and your entire sector in litigation. And when I'm done, I'll take what's mine anyway. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Marcus Chen? Yes, I know your name now. You might want to check on your employment status. I believe Epsilon 7's maintenance contract is up for renewal soon. Be a shame if the company lost it because of one troublesome employee. After they left, Tommy clapped Marcus on the shoulder. Well, that went better than expected. Nobody got punched. Yet, Marcus muttered. He turned to find Theria standing in his doorway. Lyra clutched to her chest. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have brought this to you. He'll destroy your life because of us." "Hey, none of that," Marcus said gently. "We knew there might be consequences. That's not on you. But your job is just a job. There are other stations, other positions. You and Lyra's safety is more important than any job." Over the next week, Korthax made good on his threats. Marcus's supervisor called to inform him that his position had been eliminated due to budget constraints, though Jin's apologetic tone made it clear what had really happened. Several human merchants reported sudden issues with their licenses. The human sector's food shipments were mysteriously delayed, but something else happened too, something Korthax hadn't counted on. The human community rallied. Marcus found himself with more job offers than he could count, from humans across the station who needed repairs, maintenance, or just wanted to stick it to Korthax. Mrs. Patterson organized a food drive that pulled from human emergency reserves. Dr. Patel offered free medical services to any human affected by the license issues. "Korthax doesn't understand humans," Tommy explained to a confused Theria one evening. "He thinks we're just individuals he can pick off one by one, but humans? We're pack animals. You go after one of us, you get all of us." It was during this time that Theria began to see humans differently. She watched as strangers brought Marcus groceries when he couldn't afford them. She saw human children playing with Lyra, teaching her human games without caring that she was different. She observed the quiet efficiency with which the human community circled their wagons against external threats. "Your people are so strange," she told Marcus one night after Lyra had fallen asleep. "The other species say humans are selfish, violent, unpredictable, but all I've seen is kindness." "We're all of those things," Marcus admitted. "Humans are complicated. We can be terrible to each other, but when faced with an external threat, we unite like nothing else in the galaxy." "Korthax won't stop," Theria said quietly. "He's too proud, has too much invested in his image. He needs to win this to maintain his standing. Then he's going to be disappointed." But Theria was right. 2 weeks after the initial confrontation, Korthax escalated. He filed a formal petition with the Galactic Council itself, claiming human sanctuary laws violated interspecies treaties. He hired the best lawyers from 3 different systems. He even managed to get a hearing scheduled, something that usually took months, but somehow happened in days. The night before the hearing, Marcus found Theria on his small balcony, staring out at the stars. Lyra was asleep inside, curled up with a stuffed earth bear that someone had donated. "I need to tell you something," Theria said without looking at him. "About Thylorian law, about why Korthax is so confident he'll win." Marcus joined her at the railing. "Okay. Under our laws, unmated females with children have no legal standing. We're considered incomplete, unable to make decisions for ourselves or our offspring. It's an old law from before we achieved spaceflight, but it's still enforced. That's barbaric. It's tradition," she laughed bitterly. "Korthax will argue that I had no right to take Lyra, no right to request sanctuary, no right to make any decisions at all without a male bondmate's approval. But you're here now. Human law only applies if I had the right to request it in the first place. That's what his lawyers will argue." She turned to face him, and Marcus saw tears in her multifaceted eyes. "I've doomed us. I've dragged you and your people into a fight you can't win." "Hey," Marcus said softly. "Look at me. We don't give up. Not on you, not on Lyra, not ever. There has to be a way around this." "There is," Theria whispered. "One way, but I could never ask. Tell me, if I had a bondmate who claimed me and Lyra, Korthax's claim would be void, but it would have to be recognized under both human and Thylorian law. It would have to be official." Marcus's mind raced. You mean like marriage? Your human concept is similar, yes. But no Thylorian would dare challenge Korthax for me. The social and economic consequences would be too severe. And a bondmate from another species? She shook her head. It's been done rarely, but the paperwork alone would take weeks we don't have. Unless the bondmate was from a species with expedited treaty rights, Marcus said slowly. Like humans. Theria's eyes widened. You can't be serious. Why not? It's legal. It would void Korthax's claim and it would keep you both safe. But it's marriage, Marcus. Legal bonding. It's not something you do just to help strangers. Marcus was quiet for a moment, thinking. Over the past 2 weeks, his small apartment had become more of a home than it had ever been. He'd grown used to Lyra's telepathic touches, her small hand in his when they walked through the sector. He'd spent hours talking with Theria, learning about her art. She was a crystal singer on her homeworld, her dreams, her fears. Were they strangers anymore? It wouldn't be just to help, he said carefully. I care about you both, more than I expected to. Maybe it started as just wanting to help, but now I can't imagine my life without Lyra's laughter or your conversations about stellar harmonics. Marcus. Theria's voice was barely audible. You don't know what you're saying. Interspecies bonds are complicated. Your people already sacrifice so much for us. I can't ask. You're not asking. I'm offering. He took her hands gently, marveling at how delicate they seemed despite her height. Theria, will you accept me as your bondmate? Will you let me claim you and Lyra as mine under both human and Thylorian law? The silence stretched between them, filled with the distant hum of the station and the whisper of recycled air. Then Theria laughed, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. You impossible, wonderful, insane human, she said. Do you really understand what you're offering? I understand that you and Lyra need protection. I understand that I want to be the one to provide it. And I understand that somewhere along the way, this stopped being about duty and started being about family. The other species will be horrified, Theria warned. A human and a Thylorian? It's unprecedented in the trade sectors. Let them be horrified. Humans are good at shocking the galaxy. Theria studied his face with those beautiful, multifaceted eyes. You're serious. You're actually serious. Dead serious, though we should probably work out the logistics. I have no idea how Thylorian bonding ceremonies work, and human weddings vary wildly depending on culture. Marcus, Theria interrupted. Yes. Yes? Yes, I accept. Yes to your offer, yes to this insane plan, yes to trusting the impossible human who saved us. She squeezed his hands. But are you sure? Once we file the papers, once it's official, Korthax will come at you with everything he has. Let him come, Marcus said firmly. He wants to see why humans are feared across the galaxy. He's about to get a demonstration. They stayed on the balcony for another hour, working out details. Tommy, it turned out, was licensed to perform human marriages as part of his security chief duties. Dr. Patel could handle the medical certifications required for interspecies bonding. Mrs. Patterson, when told, immediately started planning what she called the most important wedding this station has ever seen. We need to file the papers tonight, Theria explained. Before the hearing tomorrow, if we can present a completed bond certificate, then Korthax has no claim. Marcus grinned. Tommy's going to love this. Middle-of-the-night wedding to stick it to a child trafficker. It's like his birthday and Christmas combined. As predicted, Tommy was ecstatic. Within an hour, he had assembled everything needed for a legally binding ceremony. Word spread through the human sector like wildfire, and by station midnight, Marcus's small apartment was packed with humans eager to witness history. Is this normal? Theria asked. watching in amazement as neighbors she'd never formally met set up decorations and food. "For humans? Yeah, pretty much," Marcus said. "We love an underdog story, and we really love weddings. Combine the two? You get this." Lyra, woken by the commotion, clung to Marcus's leg with excitement. Through their telepathic connection, he felt her joy and confusion in equal measure. "Hey, little star," he said, picking her up. "How would you like it if I officially became your dad?" Her mental response was pure happiness, bright and warm like sunshine. Out loud, she managed, "Really? Forever?" "Forever," Marcus promised. The ceremony itself was beautifully chaotic. Tommy performed the human portion while Dr. Patel read the Thylorian bonding oaths he'd hastily researched. Mrs. Patterson cried through the entire thing. Someone had found flowers from the botanical sector, and the air was filled with the scent of earth roses and Thylorian crystal blossoms. When it came time for the vows, Marcus spoke from the heart. "Theria, 2 weeks ago, you were a stranger in need. Today, you're the person I choose to stand beside. I promise to protect you and Lyra with everything I have, to respect your culture while sharing mine, and to face whatever the galaxy throws at us together. You're my family now, both of you. And humans don't give up on family." Theria's vows were equally moving. "Marcus, you showed me that the stories about humans were both wrong and right. You are fierce, but in defense of others. You are unpredictable, but in your kindness. You are dangerous, but only to those who would harm the innocent. I accept you as my bondmate, my protector, and my equal. Where you go, Lyra and I will follow. Your people will be our people, your strength our shelter." When the ceremony ended, the cheer from the assembled humans was probably heard 3 sectors away. Marcus kissed Theria gently, mindful of their different physiologies, then lifted Lyra into a 3-way hug that felt like coming home. "The paperwork's all filed," Tommy announced. "As of right now, you're legally bonded under both human and Thylorian law. Let's see Korthax argue with that." The Galactic Council hearing chamber was an impressive sight, with its soaring crystal dome and seats arranged in concentric circles to accommodate hundreds of different species. Marcus had never been inside before, and under different circumstances he might have been overwhelmed by the grandeur. Today, though, he only had eyes for the Thylorian delegation across the chamber. Korthax sat at the petitioner's table, surrounded by expensive lawyers from multiple species. His purple-blue skin was darker than usual, a sign of barely controlled rage. He'd arrived at the station that morning expecting an easy victory, only to be informed that Theria had legally bonded with a human overnight. "This is unprecedented," the Zentari judge announced, her 4 arms gesturing for order as the chamber buzzed with conversation. "A formal challenge to human sanctuary laws, complicated by an interspecies bonding. We will proceed with utmost care." Marcus sat at the respondents' table with Theria and their own legal team. Volunteers from the human sector who'd worked through the night preparing their defense. Lyra was with Mrs. Patterson in a secure waiting room, though Marcus could feel her nervous energy through their telepathic connection. "The petitioner may present their case," the judge declared. Korthax's lead lawyer, a serpentine Vorthon, rose smoothly. "Honored counsel, we come before you with a simple matter of law. The Thylorian female designated Theria removed a valuable offspring from her legal bondmate's custody. She fled to the human sector and has attempted to legitimize this theft through their primitive sanctuary laws. We ask the council to recognize Thylorian legal precedent and return both the female and the offspring to their rightful guardian." Objection. The human lawyer, Amanda Chen, no relation to Marcus, stood. "The petitioner refers to a sentient being as offspring and valuable as if she were property. We request the council use her name, Lyra." Sustained. The council recognizes all sentient beings by name. The Vorthon's scales rippled in annoyance. Very well. The child, Lyra, was removed without the permission of her legal guardian. Under Thylorian law, unmated females have no authority over their children. The female Thyria's actions constitute kidnapping. The respondent was not unmated at the time of removal, Amanda countered. She was in an abusive situation, fleeing a bondmate who openly admitted intentions to traffic their child. Under Galactic Council Resolution 2847, any being has the right to flee abuse and seek protection. The petitioner denies any abuse occurred, the Vorthon hissed. These are merely accusations made by a female attempting to justify her criminal actions. We have witnesses, Amanda said calmly. She gestured to a section where several beings sat. Multiple residents of the Thylorian sector who will testify to seeing injuries on Theria, who heard threats made against both her and Lyra. Marcus watched Korthax's skin darken further. The alien hadn't expected the Thylorians to break their usual code of silence about internal matters, but the threat to a child had motivated several to come forward. Even if abuse occurred, the Vorthon continued, it doesn't change Thylorian law. The female had no right to take the child, and this, bonding, with a human is clearly a sham, enacted purely to circumvent legitimate legal claims. On what grounds do you make that accusation? The judge asked. They had known each other for mere weeks. Interspecies bondings require months of preparation, genetic compatibility tests, cultural integration courses. This was clearly a marriage of convenience. Amanda smiled slightly. The council recognizes many forms of bonding: arranged marriages, political alliances, economic partnerships. The only requirement is mutual consent and legal filing. Both were completed. But surely the council can see what I see, Marcus surprised himself by standing and speaking, is a being who views his own child as property to be sold. He knew he was breaking protocol, but the words poured out anyway. You want to talk about law? Let's talk about human law. Mr. Chen, you are out of order, the judge warned, but her tone was curious rather than angry. Your Honor, I request permission to speak as the bonded partner of Theria and legal guardian of Lyra under both human and Thylorian law. The judge's forearms conferred with themselves for a moment. Granted, but keep it brief. Marcus stood straighter. Korthax accuses us of a sham marriage, but I didn't marry Theria to circumvent the law. I married her because when I looked at her and Lyra, I saw family. Not Thylorian family or human family, just family. He turned to address the wider chamber. Humans have a reputation in this galaxy. We're seen as violent, unpredictable, dangerous. And you know what? You're right. We are all of those things when someone threatens what we consider ours. But what makes something ours isn't species or blood or DNA, it's choice. This is hardly relevant, the Vorthon began. It's entirely relevant, Marcus cut him off. Korthax thinks in terms of ownership, property, value. Humans think in terms of pack, family, tribe. And once you're in our pack, we'll face down the entire galaxy to keep you safe. Pretty words, Korthax spoke for the first time, standing despite his lawyer's attempts to stop him. But words won't change the law. That female and her offspring belong to me. Her name is Theria, Marcus said coldly. My wife's name is Theria. My daughter's name is Lyra. And they don't belong to anyone but themselves. Your daughter? Korthax laughed. She's not even your species. Doesn't matter. I choose her, she chooses me. That's what makes us family. The human makes an emotional appeal, the Vorthan lawyer interjected, trying to regain control. But we must focus on facts. The bonding may be technically legal, but it was clearly enacted in bad faith to... Actually, a new voice spoke from the gallery, I'd like to address the matter of good faith. Everyone turned to see a human man in an expensive suit standing in the observation section. Marcus didn't recognize him, but the way he carried himself screamed authority. "And you are?" the judge asked. "Director Harrison, Earth Diplomatic Corps. I'm here to announce that the human government is formally recognizing the Chen theory of bonding and extending full diplomatic protection to all parties involved." The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Earth rarely involved itself directly in colonial matters. "On what grounds?" the Vorthun demanded. "On the grounds that any attack on human citizens or their families is considered an attack on humanity itself. And I use the word families deliberately." Harrison's smile was sharp. "Mr. Korthax has made economic threats against human businesses, attempted to interfere with human employment, and disrupted human supply chains. These could be considered acts of economic warfare." "That's preposterous," Korthax sputtered. "Is it? You used your influence to have Mr. Chen fired. You delayed food shipments to the human sector. You attempted to revoke business licenses for humans who supported Mr. Chen. All documented, all traceable back to you." "Director Harrison," the judge interjected, "are you suggesting Earth would take formal action over a custody dispute?" "I'm suggesting," Harrison said calmly, "that Earth takes the protection of children very seriously. Any children. The fact that someone would attempt to sell a child into slavery, then use economic warfare against those protecting her, well, that's the sort of thing that makes humans unpleasant." The threat was politely delivered, but unmistakable. Earth had the largest military fleet in the Galactic Council. They rarely used it, but when they did, entire systems took notice. "This is still a matter of Thylorian law," the Vorthan lawyer said, but his tone had lost its certainty. "Actually," another voice spoke up, and a tall Thylorian stood in the gallery. Marcus recognized him as one of the witnesses Amanda had brought. "I am Elder Thylos of the Thylorian Cultural Council. I am here to officially recognize the Chen Theoria, bonding as valid under our own laws." Korthax whirled around. "You dare?" "I dare," Thylos said firmly. "Young Korthax seems to have forgotten that our laws also state any bondmate who threatens their child forfeits all claims. We have sworn testimony that he intended to sell young Lyra. Under Section 15 of our own familial codes, his rights were terminated the moment he made that choice. But the female had no right. She had every right to protect her child by seeking a new bondmate. That she found one among the humans is unusual, but not illegal. The bonding is recognized." Marcus felt Theria's hand find his under the table, squeezing tightly. Around them, the chamber buzzed with conversation as multiple species processed what they were witnessing. "Your Honor," Amanda stood again, "I move for immediate dismissal of all claims against my clients and a permanent restraining order against Korthax." "You can't—" Korthax started forward, but stopped as every human in the chamber stood simultaneously. It wasn't a threatening gesture exactly, but the synchronized movement of 24 humans sent a clear message. Tommy and his security team were among them, but so were teachers, merchants, engineers, doctors, regular humans who'd come to support one of their own. "Korthax," Elder Thylos said quietly, "you have lost. Accept it with what dignity remains to you." The judge raised all 4 arms. "The council has heard sufficient testimony. The bonding between Marcus Chen and Theria is recognized as legal and binding. Custody of the minor Lyra is granted to her legal guardians. The petitioner's claims are dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore," she continued, "given the evidence of attempted trafficking and economic warfare, Korthax is banned from human sectors across all council stations pending a full investigation." "This hearing is adjourned." The gavel came down with finality. Korthax stood frozen for a moment, his skin cycling through colors of rage and disbelief. Then his eyes fixed on Marcus with pure hatred. "This isn't over. You think you've won? I'll destroy you, human. You and your whole worthless species." "Try it," Marcus said simply. See where it gets you." Security moved in before Korthax could respond, escorting him and his legal team from the chamber. As they left, the humans began to applaud, joined slowly by other species who'd witnessed the proceedings. "Is it really over?" Theria whispered. "The legal part, yeah. Korthax might try something else, but—" Marcus gestured to the humans around them, then to Director Harrison, then to Elder Thylos. "He'd have to go through all of us." "And more keep coming." As if to prove his point, Mrs. Patterson appeared with Lyra, who broke free and ran to them at full speed. Marcus caught her and lifted her high, her delighted laughter filling the chamber. "We won?" Lyra asked, through their telepathic link, her mental voice bright with hope. "We won, little star," Marcus confirmed. "You're safe. Both of you are safe. Because we're family now? Because we're family." Later that evening, back in their apartment, Marcus was already thinking about finding a bigger place. They held a quieter celebration, just the three of them, sharing dinner and processing everything that had happened. "I still can't believe Earth itself got involved," Theria said, watching Lyra play with her growing collection of toys. "Humans protect kids," Marcus said simply. "It's hardwired into us." Korthax made it about more than just you and Lyra when he started his economic attacks. He threatened the whole community that was protecting a child. That escalated it from a personal matter to a species matter. "Your people are terrifying," Theria said, but she was smiling. "Beautiful and terrifying." "That's humans for you. We're contradictions." "Marcus?" Lyra had abandoned her toys and climbed into his lap. "Are you really my dad now, forever and always?" "Forever and always," he confirmed. "No takebacks." "And Mama's your wife, even though she's tall and blue and you're short and pink?" Marcus laughed. "Even though. Love doesn't care about species, little star. It just cares about choice." "I choose you too," Lyra said seriously. "Both of you, forever and always." Through their telepathic link, Marcus felt the truth of her words, the deep certainty that only children possess. He hugged her tighter, then reached out to pull Theria into the embrace. "You know," Theria said softly, "when I first came here, I thought I was just looking for a place to hide. I never imagined I'd find—" "A family?" Marcus suggested. "A home," she corrected, "with the most unlikely beings in the galaxy." "Humans are good at being unlikely," Marcus said. "It's kind of our thing. Among many other things." Theria's multifaceted eyes reflected the warm light of their apartment. "Thank you, Marcus, for everything, for seeing us as more than strangers in need, for standing up to Korthax, for choosing us." "Thank you for letting me," Marcus replied, "for trusting a strange human with your lives, for becoming my family." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars through the viewport. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Korthax might try something desperate. The integration of an interspecies family would have complications. Marcus needed to find a new job. They needed a bigger apartment. There would be paperwork and cultural adjustments, and probably a few arguments along the way. But tonight they were simply a family. A human, a Thylorian, and a small child who bridged both worlds with her telepathic gifts and boundless love. It wasn't what any of them had planned, but sometimes the best families were the ones you chose when the galaxy gave you no other option. "Hey," Lyra said suddenly, "does this mean I get to learn human stuff, like those games the other kids were showing me?" "Sure," Marcus said. "What kind of games?" "Something called hide and seek and tag. And Jimmy said when I'm older he'll teach me something called football, but his mom said absolutely not because humans play too rough." Theria laughed, the sound like crystal bells. "Of course, the first thing she wants to learn is the dangerous human games." "She'll fit right in," Marcus said proudly. "Give her a few years and she'll be just as terrifyingly protective as any human." "A telepathic human-raised Thylorian," Theria mused. The galaxy won't know what hit it. That's the idea. We humans are good at surprising the galaxy. Now we've got help. As if in agreement, Lyra sent a wave of joy through their connection, bright and warm and powerful. Marcus caught Theria's eye and saw his own thoughts reflected there. Their little family might have come together through crisis, but they were choosing to stay together through love. And in the end, that's what made them human. Not species or DNA or what planet they came from, but the choice to stand together against whatever the galaxy threw at them. The choice to be family. Somewhere in the station, Korthax was probably plotting revenge. Somewhere in the galaxy, other beings were trafficking children or abusing their families. Somewhere, someone needed help but had no one to turn to. But here in this small apartment in the human sector of Epsilon 7, a family was safe. A mother and child had found protection. A lonely human had found purpose. And together, they'd shown the galaxy once again why humans were both feared and respected, not for their violence or unpredictability, but for their fierce, unstoppable love for those they claimed as their own. "I love you both," Marcus said quietly, the words still new but feeling more natural each time. "We love you too," Theria replied while Lyra nodded emphatically. Outside their window, the stars continued their eternal dance, indifferent to the small dramas of the beings who traveled between them. But in this moment, in this place, three souls had found each other across the vast emptiness of space and chosen to be family. And that, Marcus thought as he held them both close, was the most human thing of all.